and here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to, dare I say, the almost most important rocket launch in the next 7 days. We are standing by here at Florida for the next launch of a Falcon 9 mission, as we are just a little away here from Liftoff. And my name is Adrian Bile. I'm your host for today's broadcast, and I am joined by very competent commentators that will help me to explain everything that is going on in the next 48 minutes and 24 seconds. Starting with Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
I am doing great, I guess, but also nervous because there's a lot of things going on in the next week, I guess. And so, yeah, more Starlink launches, I guess.
Absolutely, more Starlink, more better, I think. Also, in the field, we have Mr. Max Evans. Max, how you doing?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to a beautiful evening on Florida Space Coast. But yeah, the atmosphere and feeling right now is mirrored to what Alex is feeling right now. There's a lot of things going on, hopefully in the next 7 days, but first and foremost, let's get this Falcon 9 off the ground.
Absolutely, and behind the scenes, we have Carson Phillips producing today's webcast. Thank you so much for that, Carson. Starting here with Alex. Alex, do you mind giving us a quick overview? What's in this payload fairing?
Yeah, so in this payload fairing, we have another 23 Starlink V2 mini satellites, and we'll basically have, as usual, the sort of southeast trajectory out of the Cape, with these Starlink satellites heading to a 285 by 293 kilometer orbit, 43-degree inclination, the usual stuff. But today, there's basically more things in store, I guess, which is, for example, some quick stats for today. We have the 74th landing on Just Read the Instructions. It's going to be almost catching up already to Of Course I Still Love You. Of Course I Still Love You is in the 90s already. The 173rd launch from Sleek 40. We have so many stats for this. You can check those out on the description of the video, by the way, if you even want to take a look at that. But definitely lots of things. Another thing that I should point out as well is this will be the 23rd launch of the year, which means it's already top 5 in the list of years of SpaceX launches, essentially, with some other years having a little bit more, but most of them having less. So that is quite interesting because, there's another Starlink later tonight, which is from Vandenberg, and that's going to be the 24th. And it's going to be very, very close to 2020, which is the top 4. So we're getting there. But essentially, that is, kind of the run-of-the-mill Starlink satellite launch. But, every launch is special in some shape or form. And it's a Falcon 9. I love Falcon 9. And you know what Falcon 9 has? Reusable boosters. Max! What's up with the booster? It's very sooty.
Nice segue.
Yeah, I like that.
But on the docket over at Slick 40 tonight is Falcon 9 first stage B1077.11 or dash 11, I guess, but whichever is the the correct nomenclature for abbreviation. It is so. I think where did it start? So this booster to date has flown. Let's see here. Deep breath. Crew 5, GPS 3, SV06, Inmarsat 6 F2, Starlink 510, CRS 28, Galaxy 37, Starlink 6-13, 625, 633, and most recently NG20. Stationed about 629 kilometers downrange today is the recovery drone ship Just Read the Instructions, and just a bit farther down from that, aiming to recover both fairings today, is the recovery ship Bob. So, full house today, but nothing out of the normal for SpaceX.
There we go. It's always good to see that they were getting a booster here again, slowly but surely getting into the double digits here. I mean, at this point, 11 almost feels like, oh, it's a Falcon baby. It's just there.
11 feels young, and that's absolutely wild to say, because there are some boosters that are, I think, at or below 7 flights now, and even that feels like almost brand new by comparison.
Absolutely. And Max, how weather?
How weather good. But so the forecast that was put out by the Space Launch Delta 45, based here in Cape Canaveral at Patrick Space Force Base, is calling for weather conditions with less than 5% chance of a probability of violation. Excuse me, what are words? But less than 5% POV is about as good as you can get in terms of weather forecast for launches here. So there is a bit of a breeze coming out of the northeast right now. So, but I think it's nothing more than that. It's a breeze. Falcon 9 can handle winds up to around like what, 28, 29 knots, somewhere around there, if not even higher. So this shouldn't be a problem at all. If anything, this breeze feels refreshing. There's some cloud cover in the area, but it's all mostly high altitude wispies, as I call them. So everything is looking great for an on-track liftoff at the window opening later on in hopefully around 50 minutes or so.
SpaceX just confirmed, by the way, that this mission is indeed on track. You're just on cue for that one.
Excellent.
Alex, I also have a question for you regarding this mission. Human is asking, wasn't the last Starlink launch 641? What happened to Starlink 642? Also, why don't these have 24 like that one launched it?
Yeah, those are great questions. So essentially, they sometimes launch out of order, and we believe that perhaps 642 will be in about 2 weeks or so, potentially around the 20th local, 21st UTC. That is sort of what we're thinking, but it's still sort of like a supposition where we have to assume sometimes the number of the mission. Like this one we thought was actually going to be 642, but then it eventually became 643. Then we thought 643 was going to be the next one from 39A. And in fact, I think if you go to 39A, you'll see that the Stromback is vertical up there because they're preparing for the next 39 launch. And there we go. That's the Stromback up and ready, and that is going to be the next Starlink launch from the Cape. That'll be 644. So we're going to go 641, 642. Not that's going to be jumped. So we are here today on 643, and then that 39 mission. That's going to be 644, and after that, we don't know if the next one will be 644, 642. We're assuming that it'll be that one, but we'll see. And why it doesn't have 24? Similar thing. They have introduced an extra satellite on this, like they introduced one extra satellite on a recent Starlink mission from the Cape. But they only flew one, and when they also went from 21 to 22, they had a few missions in between that were still 21, and also from 22 to 23, they also had a few missions that were 22, and then they completely shifted over to 23. We're expecting the same here from the Cape. In just a few more missions, we'll probably get 24s all across. From Vandenberg, tonight, they have gone now from 22 to 23. So in Vandenberg, now they have that extra satellite already. And the reason why they launch one fewer satellite than from the Cape is because the launch inclination, the launch trajectory that they take from Vandenberg is a little bit more inclined relative to the equator. They need a little bit more performance, essentially. And so it's one satellite fewer than here from the Cape. So, but overall, they still have like one extra compared to the previous missions that they were doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next Starlink from Vandenberg, they have again 22 instead of 23, and same thing here from the Cape as well. Might be 6:42 is a 24 Starlink satellite launch. Like, could be like that. They just mix and match.
Yep, it's always it takes change, times I guess, to completely implement a change on every mission. Also, sometimes they might want to test something out, right? They might have test something, validate something on one mission, and after then roll it out on every mission. So we'll see. Speaking of today's mission, we are about 50 minutes away from liftoff, which is a good time to talk about what will happen today. You see the countdown timeline there on the left side, and the biggest first milestone we will approach is the 38-minute mark, where the launch director verifies good for launch for today's Falcon 9. The stage 1 RP1 load will begin just 3 minutes later at T-minus 35 minutes, and usually about 3 or 4 minutes later, we will see condensation appearing at the bottom of the rocket, which means that today's Falcon 9 is indeed getting fueled. But through various milestones, we then arrive at 20 minutes at the LOX chilldown, where we also see our very lovely and dearly beloved T-minus 20-minute vent. And of course, if everything goes well, we will then see 20 minutes later a Falcon 9 liftoff from Pad 40 here. Just as a quick overview here of what we are going to expect today.
That was very
Thank you
simple
so
and
much.
clean, dearly beloved.
Yeah, it's who gets that reference? You have a good taste in video games. Let me hit some support here, because we already got some very generous support and also some very good questions attached to that. So let's start here with Rennie Cohn becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much. And then we have Musical Wolves here with a $2 super chat saying, is there a good chance for a jellyfish at 7:03 max?
So, unfortunately, if they do end up launching at 7:05, which hopefully, if they begin propellant loading here in not too long from now, which they will be. So sunset is at 7:29, and the current T0 is 7:05. And unfortunately, for a real prominent and vibrant, as we call it, a jellyfish, the sun has to be either down or very low on the horizon. And while the sun will be pretty low on the horizon, it'll still be up. So the main body of the rocket and the sky will be of sufficient brightness to, I guess, not provide the best conditions for a prominent jellyfish. So I don't think so, unless it pushes maybe an hour or so into the window, and then absolutely. But unfortunately, if it goes at 7:05, I don't think so.
Which at this point looks absolutely likely, with the weather being, again, as we mentioned before, very, very good for launch. So it's expected at this point.
If we could start setting a theme this week, starting today, of on time and nominal launches, that would be magnificent.
What other launches are you referring to? It's like there's no other big launch this week.
I think there's also a Starlink happening after this. I think that one at a Vandenberg.
Oh yeah, the Vandenberg Starlink. Yeah, that's why I meant in the beginning of the broadcast with this is the second biggest launch of the week. The biggest, of course, being the Vandenberg Starlink. Yes. No, we are, of course, by the way, if people are not getting our very heavy sarcasm here, we are, of course, talking about Starship, which right now aims for a launch at Thursday. If you're not aware about that yet, I'm not sure what you have been doing, but here you go.
That's what we did yesterday, countdown to launch. I thought it was for this mission.
No, it was actually not a countdown to launch for Starlink 6-43. We are not doing a countdown to launch for that one. Yeah, it's a thing. So get ready, guys. You will see NSFB. Let's say there will be some coverage down this week from Starbase. You will see. Let me thank Woofy W here becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much. Ryan Hunt becoming a Red Team member. RC Horseman gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, RC Horseman. Chris W gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you, Chris. And I will not even try to pronounce this name. I will try, I guess. Zor GFX guy, I guess. Zor XOR GFX guy with a $5 super chat saying, are the fairing vents always open or are they closed during ascent? Alex.
I believe they are like openings on the fairing rather than vents, and the way that they work is just, the fairing has a little bit more pressure on the outside, and when it goes up, it just, vents everything out. That's
There you go.
that's how I think it works. I don't fully know, to the smallest detail, but that's more or less how I believe it is the way that it works.
Yeah, I also understand it just that these are like openings in the Falcon. Like I always understood it, they're just openings in the fairing, not really
They
like
have-
controllable vents.
They have like covers that essentially protect them while they are on the ground, but then those covers just fly away as soon as the rocket starts ascending because it picks up the speed and the aerodynamic pressure and everything is just makes them all fly off. So yeah, but that's essentially how it works.
There we go. Let's see here. I also want to ask this one from how many active boosters do we believe SpaceX has in rotation at this time?
Ooh, that's a complicated question. It actually probably has like its own kind of video attached to it, I guess. But no, we're not doing that kind of video, by the way. Just for the record. But if you're asking like in regular rotation, it's probably around 12, 13, maybe if you're a little bit more less picky, it might be up to 15. But there are a few others that are either already tested and not flown, or they are waiting for customers. So they are technically not in regular rotation. Like it's not a thing, right? For those, because they are still waiting around. They have long turnaround times. They are not the sort of booster that you will pull off from the fleet and fly it on a Starlink. That's sort of the thinking, right? Anyone else, any other booster, it's like, okay, you're good to go. Let's put you on a Starlink, and that's sort of the thinking. So if you count all of the boosters, then it's closer to 20, which is a lot. It's a lot of boosters, but yeah, that's how you achieve all of these cadence.
There we go. How many landings in a row will this be? Just for quick statistics. Like, do you know which?
Oh,
Which-
dear Lord, I actually have to look up these numbers nowadays because I cannot remember from mission to mission. 208th.
There we go. And just to make Max sad here, it will not be G208th recovery in a row because there was
Adrian.
there was
Oh,
this one
man.
incident we don't talk about.
Still struggling. Still seething.
I'm also still struggling. Good old. I think a lot of people, probably the most loved booster in the fleet. Well, was. There you go. Will you cover the Vandenberg launch later today? Unfortunately, kinda our crew's already like going to a certain place in South Texas already. So we will not be able to cover the Vandenberg launch, but make sure to follow us on social media. That's not only X, that's also Facebook and Instagram, where we at least keep you updated on the news regarding this launch. And I want to give a special shout out to our Facebook and Instagram page, who are very well maintained these days. There's some really great content over there. So if you have Facebook or Instagram and use it on a regular basis, it's a really good place for some amazing content.
A good way.
Shout out.
Yeah, a good way of trying to get sort of like a preview of how it will look like. Just go to the shower, get the hot water, and once it's all fogged out, that's basically how it looks like.
Yeah, just like turn it all the way to the left, close your bathroom door, and just leave it there for like 20 minutes. Then you have the true Vandenberg experience.
Exactly.
We can be safe right now because we know Jack is not on the stream, but if he learns about this, there will be some retaliation.
Well, in all fairness, like we didn't
You
cover
get
the last
spiders.
Starlink mission either out of here last time because we had some very gnarly fog come rolling through. So
That is true.
Why do you have to throw us under the bus like this, Max?
I'm
Like,
throwing myself under the bus with that, my guy.
Yeah,
it's not
you
just
did.
me; it's all of us too.
It's I'm not sure what happened there. It's we shouldn't have admitted this. We should have just denied this. Let's see here. Do we have any idea yet when the first crewed mission will be launching from Slick 40?
Hopefully Crew 9, but we'll see.
But we are close, right? It could be basically any crew launch going forward could be the one, right?
Yeah, in fact, the next mission, excuse me, The next mission out of here from Slick 40, that'll be with the first cargo dragon in a long time out from Slick 40. It'll be the first time, at least for a Dragon 2, that it is going to be launched from Slick 40. And that'll be CRS 30 mission. I believe it is currently scheduled for the 21st of March, so essentially in about 11 days from now. And that one will essentially, work as a certification kind of protocol or mission or whatever you want to call it, right? Where you are rehearsing a lot of the things that you will do for a crew, but with a cargo mission. And so if that goes well, then essentially NASA will be comfortable flying crew missions from Slick 40, and that could happen as soon as this summer with Crew 9.
There we go. Max, from a photographer perspective, how do you think about crew launches from Slick 40? Like, are you excited? Would you prefer LC-39A? What's your take on this, Max, on crew launch from Slick 40?
That's a really good question. So obviously, all crew missions right now fly from 39A, and for pretty much every single one, we're always here at the price site here at the Kennedy Space Center. Once they start flying crew missions from Slick 40, the Space Force is gracious enough to allow us certain viewing areas for. I cannot talk today, man. What is going on?
No problem. You're the commentators, so you don't have to worry.
The 45th Space Wing is gracious enough to offer members of the media select viewing, I guess, areas over on the Space Force side closer to Slick 40 for certain missions like CRS or hopefully CRS in the future, or commercial missions, Space Force missions, all of that sort, and to be able to photograph crew from that side, because we tend to be a lot closer to Slick 40 from that perspective and that side. It is very, very exciting. Dragon is also just a beautiful spacecraft to photograph. And if we get some good light and a closer perspective to Slick 40 for a crewed mission or a Dragon mission like CRS, it would be spectacular. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later.
There we go. And I also want to quickly shout out the fact that the LD should have verified go for propellant load at this point. We will get confirmation of that in a bit. And I'm going to throw the next question right back to Max again. Yeah, well, you see the countdown here, by the way. Again, because the next question is, can you explain what a jellyfish actually is for those who are new, please? I guess we should really do that from time to time.
I guess we should. It's also a great question. So essentially, a jellyfish is when you have a darker sky, of course, post sundown, maybe an hour or so after, and the Falcon 9 or really any other rocket will be ascending back into the sunlight as the sun is going down. And the exhaust particulates are going to be lit by the sun's rays, and that, in contrast with a late evening or night sky, the exhaust particulates are lit so well that they're either white or orange, or they're just super vibrant colors that stand out and contrast magnificently against a dark sky. So essentially, that's what we mean by a jellyfish. It's most prominent when you have, or I shouldn't say it's most prominent. It's most beautiful when you have, say, an RTLS mission just after sunset or just before sunrise, because at that point you have the boost back nebula and all the exhaust particulates from the boost back burn also being lit up. So you have this tremendous cloud that's just lighting up almost the entire sky at that point. So essentially, I don't know if that was a great explanation, but I hope that was good enough. So that's essentially what that is.
I would call it a great explanation. So I'm attesting this as a great explanation. Alex, we got a $5 super chat here from Dan Weaver asking, how long is the scrub window for Falcon 9? I had it was like 15 seconds, but that sounds wild. Thanks, Alex. I'm not sure what a scrub window exactly is. Do you know?
Not sure what it means by scrub window. Usually, if it's a scrub, it's essentially a scrub. Maybe they meant a hold window, in which case it's 0 after the propellant load has begun. So essentially, in 22 seconds, if they start the propellant load, then that'll mean they will have to essentially aboard, if they have a hold, they have recycle options after they do. So basically, if how do I explain this? Today's mission, Starlink, has many T0s. It has many opportunities, and this is the first one on today's long window. It's a 4-hour window. So in theory, they could, if for whatever reason they hold today on this first attempt and they abort, in theory, perhaps they could attempt a launch later in the window because it's long enough for them to be able to drain the tanks and then solve whatever issue they can. Maybe it's something that they can solve remotely and then go back again and start the propellant load sequence again. But if it is a much shorter window, if it's an instantaneous window or things like that, or even a 5-minute window, something like that, if they hold after propellant load has started, they essentially scrub for the day. They can hold before the propellant load starts, and it wouldn't mean out of board or any sort of a scrub. In that sense, they will just basically delay the time at which they start the propellant load and at which the launch happens and things like that. They will just move into the window. And we have had that so many times with a Starlink, and I'm mostly sure that Max and Adrian, you too, remember how many times we have seen SpaceX move their T0 so many times into the window. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's a common theme with late night Starlinks, and that's where saying these late night Starlinks do be hitting different comes from.
Yeah.
For those who are curious.
Yeah, it's basically how you have to imagine it in our back channel. It's like every half an hour, Max and Julia get a ping from every else, and we have a scrub for another half an hour and another half an hour, and that's ongoing then for 3 hours. That's how it happens.
And imagine that between 1 and 4 a.m. sometimes, and it can get pretty brutal on you mentally.
Absolutely. And we thank you both you, Julia, and everybody out there who's out there for us regularly in the field, Dingy and Sawyer, that you do that, because we have it the easy part here. We are sitting in front of our computers and talking to a microphone. At this point, we should be able to get very close to verify propellant loading. So what you're watching for, at the bottom of the rocket, there will be condensation because the RP1 that they load and everything in general that they load is colder than atmospheric temperature. So they will form some condensation on the rocket, which will be the first sign that RP1 loading is ongoing. This is why... Go ahead.
I was about to correct you, but you're right. Because I was going to say, no, wait, the RP1 is not... it shouldn't produce condensation, but it is true that it is colder than ambient temperature. That is true.
Aha. There we go. I got the technical correct here, right?
Yeah, because they make it colder than room temperature precisely to pack more onto the tanks. So sometimes you can actually see some condensation on the RP1 tank, but not a lot. The one that it's definitely more noticeable though, and go ahead, what's the next one thing?
The next one would be LOX loading, and if you look at the bottom right of the Falcon 9, you see the tiniest bit of condensation there, and yes, you can now see it on the tank as well. I think we can confirm here that our Falcon 9 is in propellant loading.
Yeah. But it's quite fantastic when I see some of the... Obviously, we're going to have a close-up. SpaceX cheats by having their own pad cameras. Hi, SpaceX. We will want some pad cameras, please. But you can see on some of the close-ups that they always have. Sometimes the RP1 tank also has some condensation on it, and I always think to myself, how is it? But it's actually the RP1 is loaded at something like 7 degrees below 0 in Celsius, which I think is 10 Fahrenheit or something like that. It's essentially colder than freezing temperature. So in theory, you could have frost on the RP1 tank because it's colder than freezing. So yeah, with especially in Florida with all of the humidity, it's something that probably happens more than often. And it's probably harder to see because it's not liquid oxygen. Liquid oxygen is something like minus 200 degrees Celsius. So yeah, that's how much colder liquid.
Yeah, I learned from conversations with especially Max that Florida people have a different feeling for temperature than I do. Because when Max says, "Oh, it's breezy," I would say, "Oh, that's fairly hot." That's how usually this conversation goes.
That's actually pretty accurate. I think temperature right now is around 70 degrees, and I'm honestly thinking about throwing on a sweatshirt. It's getting well. That in combination with this wind is kind of nippy, just a little bit.
Peter, we should like European or like German temperature scale versus Florida temperature scale, or like basically everybody else versus Florida, and it's like completely misaligned.
Yeah.
I think that's the shirt here. As you can see, by the way, logs rising now on the logs tank. In case you were still wondering, oh, that's is it loading? Yes, it is. And yes, as Chris B says in the channel, 70 degrees is consider which level of sun factor you need, not more clothes. I agree with that. At 70 degrees, I consider actually what sunscreen do I need? Because I get burned in the sun by like 3 minutes. Go ahead, Max. I saw Max unmute there for a moment. I thought he was about to say something, but I will just jump into questions again here. GM FTP asking, how long would it take for Starship to have the same frequency for flights as Falcon 9 has today? What an easy question, Alex.
Ain't that
Open
the
your...
question, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty much what we all are thinking about, right? And wondering how long it'll take for Starship to sort of catch up in terms of cadence to Falcon 9. And obviously, not only catch up, but also surpass it, right? Because that's sort of the goal of not just a few hundred launches in a year, but more than that, perhaps a few thousand launches in a year. I think there might be a path for them to be able to reach a cadence of 100 Starship launches per year by the end of the decade. But it's gonna take a while. Not a while, I guess, but more like it's gonna take a lot of hard work to get to that point. And we'll see. I do think there might be a path, but sometimes luck is a bit harsh.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see. It will be interesting to see another rocket ramp up cadence. Maybe also possibly, maybe we know it's gonna be at the Cape. So yeah, Starship's gonna join the Cape activity hopefully soon. We are just waiting for Roberts Road to ramp up that. Let me thank some more people here. Dan Elgin gifting 1 Red Team membership. Thank you for that. Matt with a store message. Super looking forward to seeing Starship takes to the skies on Thursday if all goes well. And with that, they got the OFT3 shirt, which I hope you enjoy. And yes, we all hope. Yeah, it's orange. We now have orange shirts. And yes, I really hope we get some nice good countdown on Thursday, potentially on Friday. We will see what happens. It's Starship. It could always move a bit. You never know. Just be prepared. Don't move everything so you only have Thursday. Be prepared to also have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Blushy Boy, thank you for 5 Red Team membership. Matt Hicks here with a $5 super chat. Where on the booster is the camera SpaceX uses for re-entry landing views? Alex, where is that camera?
That is on the intro stage. Essentially, I think it's the... Hang on, I'm trying to think right now in which side. Because I know it is one of the 2 sides. That it's basically either this side or the other one. I believe it is the other one though. So essentially it is on the intro stage and on the side that is facing away from us. On the other side of the booster. I believe. I'm trying to think now. But I think it's that, yeah.
There we go. Alex, do you mind also giving us a quick overview about what's today's trajectory of this rocket? Where's this going?
Yeah, I will gladly do that. So this trajectory, as we know and love already, these Starlink missions are somewhat always going southeast. This is 43-degree inclination orbit, so you either have north, east, or southeast. And to the best of my knowledge, the reason they go southeast is not only because the weather is tends to be better there on that location of the ocean, but also because of the air traffic routes that we have at the north, basically coming into Orlando. You have a lot of them coming from the northeast of the United States, and so in order to not mess with the FAA and things like that, the least thing that you want to do is mess with your neighbors, so to speak, in the air, right? And so rockets have to fly through the air, and therefore they have to make peace with aviators, and so that is most likely the reason why. You can even see that the TFR for these missions is sort of tweaked in such a way that the north part of the Cape is not really covered by any TFR. But yeah, essentially going southeast, landing offshore from Bahamas in the future, though this will be a little bit more to the south, going right in the middle of the Bahamas. That'll be on other sorts of missions. That's going to be Group 7 and Group 8 missions out from the Cape, but so far Group 6 missions go right there. And in terms of visibility, well, if you are, I tend to say that you should try, right? If you look at the map and you try to locate yourself, if you are somewhere there, if you are, for example, on the south of relative to the launch site, you just gotta look north or northeast in this case. If you're in the Bahamas, you look north, northeast, depending on where you are. But there you can see sort of when you're gonna start seeing that rocket potentially, if weather allows you. And the good thing is to try, right? If you are in the north side relative to the launch site, look south, see if you can see something. If you see it, congratulations. If not, well, try next time, maybe in a few days, because there's always a Starlink launch every few days. So you have many chances of trying.
There we go. I like that overview. Thank you so much for that, Alex. And there's a nice graphic here to see where you will be able to see a Falcon 9 potentially. It's always interesting to see. I really need to go there. Max, I really think I need to visit you at some point and just watch a Falcon 9.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I've seen you in Starbase, and now it's your turn to come here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to. The good thing is it's kind of easy to catch, right? Because if you go to Florida for like a 2-week window, there's, let's say, a very decent chance that you will see a Falcon 9.
I mean, even if you're here for just a week, like there's a very high likelihood that you're going to catch something, whether it's a Starlink or a commercial mission or something. Your chances are as great as they've ever been, honestly.
Yep, it's probably the prime time to watch a rocket launch. It has never been a better time. Let's see here. Float Perspective asking, Alex, does condensation stick to the black gunk on the booster?
Well, most of the time it does have condensation. The frost is different. Most of the time it does have frost, but it's thinner. It kind of depends a bit. In some of the close-ups, you can see that sometimes it is harder, but still it sticks to it. Like it still has frost because it's very cold, right? It's just maybe not as thick. Sometimes you see like darker spots. Also, the suit is just too easy to just sort of I guess mix with a frost in that case, where you have a layer of white on top of the black suit, but still the suit just like that darkness comes across the suit, the frost. So you really need a thick layer of frost to be able to cover all of that darkness from that suit. But that is essentially what tends to happen.
There we go. And yeah, as we approach this and clear this, we are getting into the business end of this countdown with a very loved guest that we will soon be able to welcome here in about 40 seconds. We'll get to talk about that once it happens. Let me quickly thank some more people here. Matt Hicks with 1 Red Team membership gifted. Flawed Perspective. Love the look of the timeline cryon. Any plans for similar on IFT 3 or 4? We are planning a lot of assets and things to show you for IFT 3. Stay tuned for Thursday. We have, I think it's safe to say, we have been cooking. I think that's the proper wording here. I guess
I don't break any rules if I say we'll definitely have that, because we already had it on Flight 2, but stay tuned.
You're not breaking any rules.
Exactly.
Speaking of...
when I'm the one making this, but yeah, go ahead.
There we go. We
There you
have the T-minus 20-minute vent. Alex, what does this vent signify? My God.
Yeah, so this is very similar. Just to bring it here to Starship as well, tying it in. You see sometimes the OLM vent and the tower venting. Well, the Stromback vents for the same reason. They are gonna load liquid oxygen in just about 4 minutes from now, and ahead of that, they chill down the lines that go to the second stage that basically supply the second stage with the liquid oxygen. Those lines need to be cooled down ahead of pumping all of that liquid oxygen through at full pressure, because otherwise you have things like flash boil off, your plumbing suffers because it can get brittle and things like that. So you just flow a little bit of liquid oxygen through, and that's sort of that vapor that we see, that's gaseous oxygen coming out from the Stromback.
There we go. And we can also see the vent going quite significantly to the right. Max, is it breezy?
It do be breezy right now.
Well, I used the vent to give a weather update. I am proud about that, I have to say.
I mean, the vent is a very good visualization as to what the winds are doing right now. And as we mentioned before at the start of the broadcast, the weather it is a bit breezy right now. It's not terribly windy, but it is a bit breezy, and that is exemplified by the direction and just the overall look that the cloud gas coming out from the transporter erector is showing right now.
There we go. Let's see here. The T-minus 20-minute vent is asking, can we expect an extended fairing for Falcon 9 for Starlinks? Alex.
Hey. Maybe not for Falcon 9. If they ever put an extended fairing for Starlinks, I would expect something along those lines, but for Falcon Heavy. If they ever were to do that, I do not think they would, but it seems to me that right now they are already mass limited in terms of the performance of Falcon 9 rather than volume limited. If you want to load more Starlinks into a larger volume, then you kind of need more oomph, and that's Falcon Heavy for you.
There we go. So it's not only volume restricted, it's also mass. Which are they optimizing right now, right? They are trying to get more satellites in there based on performance and everything. It's kind of crazy how much performance they got out of Falcon 9. I'm not sure if you have these numbers in your head, but like the amount of payload capability increase they have done on Falcon 9 from the initial numbers to where they are now is honestly insane.
Yeah, about 2 tons extra. Basically, they were around 15.5 tons to low Earth orbit with the early Falcon 9 Block 5s, basically. And now they have been able, through these Starlink missions, at least for these missions in particular, they are able to pump those numbers to 17.5 is the latest record, according to Elon. So that is interesting.
What was the initial payload envelope for the first Falcon 9 block?
So you mean like V1.0 and things like that?
Yeah, V1.0. What was the payload capabilities of that?
Around 10 tons, maybe 11 tons to low Earth orbit. It wasn't really that much. It's basically double now. The only thing is that now it does it does recovery with a booster, so it cannot. But if you were to launch it expendable, it will be way more than 20 tons to low Earth orbit.
It is a capable rocket. So let's see what we. I see some people here saying they will give Wonka a try because I mentioned on stream that I like that movie. Thank you, Matt. I see that. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it a lot. John Bay is asking, typically, how far downrange are Miko and Seco 1? I have a hard time answering this.
Just eyeballing it right now off the top of my head, I think it is about 70 to 100 kilometers downrange. And Seco is far downrange. It's about 800, 900 kilometers downrange, I believe. Again, this is like eyeballing it and off the top of my head, just from seeing other graphs from people taking the webcast telemetry and trying to, because it only says things like the altitude and speed, but by figuring out how high you're going up, right, and what rate you're going up, then you know your vertical velocity, and you have the total velocity, right? So now you know also by doing some math there, you can now know the horizontal velocity, and by knowing the horizontal velocity, you can know how far away the stages are moving. So by doing all of those calculations, a lot of smart people than me have done all of that. I know the math behind it, but I just don't have the time to gather all of the data from the webcast and things like that. But essentially, it's about that far away. I believe it is 60 to 100 kilometers, depending on what is the trajectory. If it's more lofted, it doesn't go up as far downrange for MECO, and it is also coming back down. If it's usually lofted trajectories are trying to come back with a booster, and then SECO, it happens way farther downrange.
There we go. Before this question flies away, because I saw it in chat, but it wasn't tagged to us, but I still want to ask it. If these satellites are referred to as V2 mini, does that mean there are V2s that are not mini? So a full-size V2, Alex?
Yes, at least for a time, there were V2 Starlinks that were going to be flying on Starship. We'll see what happens to them. But yeah, we'll see.
There we go. We are just 13 minutes and 30 seconds away from launch today. Max, how are you feeling? What's your capture plan for today? What's your modus of operations today?
Well, I'm keeping it pretty simple because I have a lot of my gear en route to a certain launch facility in Texas right now. So I will be managing our tracking camera here as always. It's a brand new rig. We first used it for crew, and it came out really, really well. So depending on how it goes today, I may, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, be bringing it to Starbase, hopefully later on in the week as well. So it's a brand new rig for us. We are trying something different because there were some capabilities that our former stuff couldn't get us, and this is turning out lovely. So I will be managing the camera for tonight's launch.
There we go. I just wanted to check in with the coverage plan here. Kovaycom asking here, thank you for your coverage. Looking ahead, I can see a number of Starlink flights listed at net March and net April. Generally, how long before are flight dates actually confirmed, Alex?
That is a great question. Most of those I should probably work on the app, and because I'm mostly sure they're probably speaking of next space flight, and so it's a bit complicated because usually the only source that we have for Starlink missions this far ahead is the FCC permits, and that's why a lot of these are like grouped together on the same kind of month. But essentially for Starlink missions, usually about a week or week and a half. But you can count on them happening every week, maybe a couple of them. Either from the Cape or between the Cape and Vandenberg, at the very least. Like nowadays, it's very weird when SpaceX doesn't launch anything from the Cape in a week.
There we go. Thank you, some more people here with $5 super chat here. Today's trajectory is theoretically visible all the way up here in Charleston, South Carolina. Just need a really clear sky. I wish you the best of luck. It's I mean, as Alex said earlier, always try. You can only win, right? If you try, you can only. If you never try, you don't have a chance to see it. But if you try, you have at least a chance.
Yeah, you already cannot see the rocket, right? Like you already have to know, so to speak. So you just gotta try to watch the rocket. If you see it, great. If you don't, well, you're gonna be in the same state as you are right now. You cannot see the rocket right now, right? From South Carolina. But if you try at least and you see it, then yeah, that's a good thing.
I always tried when we had these. There was one Starlink that like a certain trajectory that always went over Europe.
Yeah, to the
and
north.
they had always like burns over Europe and everything. So that's when I always went out and looked at the sky at night to see if I could see the relight. Because I think I saw it once or twice, but it's like, well, if I try, I see it once or twice. If I didn't try, I would never seen it. But yeah, that was the northern Starlink trajectory that could sometimes be visible over Europe. Alan Ivan here with 5 Red Team memberships gifted. Thank you so much. Paul Carl with 5 Red Team memberships, and Joe Howard also with 5 Red Team memberships. Lots of memberships gifted today in today's stream. Thank you all that gifted today. And I want to also point out, we are always thanking, of course, memberships and super chats, but I also want to thank everybody that watches the stream, that likes, that gives us questions, especially the people that come up with creative questions in the chat, because really that helps us have a conversation here, that helps us really make this interesting. So thank you everybody who watches here, and it doesn't matter in any way how you support, if you just watch, if you chat, if you like the stream. However, we love you all. And with that, let's hit some more questions here. From James Atkinson, actually. How do they chill the RP1? Is there a similar way to how they chill LOX and methane?
I actually don't exactly know the exact way. I do know that the liquid oxygen is pretty much the same. I've been told they call those, the subcoolers that they use, they call them rhinos rather than hippos. We call the ones at Starbase hippos. I guess because those are larger, I guess, right? The ones that are used for Falcon are much more tiny, to be completely fair. So, yeah, because they don't need as much propellant for Falcon 9. But for RP1, I really don't exactly know what to use, because probably if you used liquid nitrogen like you do for the liquid oxygen, and at Starbase also for the liquid methane, then that would probably solidify the RP1. So that's a great question. I really don't exactly know how that sound, but maybe we'll find out at one point. I've been looking though at pictures of the pad and things like that to try to guess where things are located at Slick 40. So we'll see. Maybe I'll find out once.
I found finally a Falcon 9 question that Alex can't answer. It's I feel I will mark this day in my calendar. Mark asking here, do you all know what the cost savings are for reusing each of these boosters as many times as they do? This is an interesting question I kind of want to take, because it's kind of my overall field of interest. So you first, of course, you have the production cost. That's the easy one that you have to think about, which already is a problem because Falcon 9 and SpaceX has not really disclosed the current production cost of the Block 5 boosters. It's one of these things they kind of try to, don't tell us all the time. You also have the refurbishment costs, which you have every time. You have the launch cost itself. And then you get into all kinds of funky, let's say, accounting stuff, because it's one of these topics where you can make numbers look good or bad, depending on how you want to present it. You can, so for example, put certain costs on every booster. You can attribute that to general operations. It's really a matter of how you want to present these numbers, but the overall picture that we get from SpaceX is we know they save quite a lot, because they have all the capital available, for example, to do Starship and Starlink, which are quite expensive endeavors. So at least that means they are succeeding in some shape or form in building a bunch of capital. However, we do not know the exact number per flight. That's a number that SpaceX will never share that easily. So that's the quick answer to this. I know it's a complicated, we don't know, but I just wanted to give you an overview. Where we come to that, we don't know. Let's see here. I feel like we have to say, for the moment, goodbye to Max, as he's getting ready to track this launch.
It is getting to about that time, gentlemen. So I will, everyone make sure to enjoy the launch, and I will see you all on the other side.
Absolutely. Wishing you best of luck with your track, and we, as you know, we will be watching. So let's see how this goes. 5 minutes from now. Alex, what's happening from now on? From this point until the moment of engine ignition, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so right now the status of the rocket is it's still going through propellant load. Hopefully, is if all is going well, the RP1 load should have been already been completed on the first stage. The first stage engines should already be also on engine chill. And so that's basically the similar thing that we saw with the Stromback vent, the same kind of chill down of the engines as as they prepare for that ignition in about 4 minutes and 50 seconds from now. So up next will be the Stromback will retract, the cradle arms up the top will open, and then the Stromback will retract about 1.8 degrees away from the rocket. That is in preparation ahead for the liftoff in 4 minutes and 40 seconds, which, at that point, the Stromback will retract all the way to about 45 degrees from the vertical position. After that, or rather, while the Stromback is retracting, they're going to be wrapping up the liquid oxygen load on the first stage. Around T-3 minutes, and then T-2 minutes, that'll be the second stage. LUX load is completed, and then at T-1 minute, the ground computers will hand over control of the countdown to the onboard computers of Falcon 9. In the meantime, between wrapping up the liquid oxygen load on the second stage and handing over the control of the countdown, that they'll be closing out all of the ground systems. We're going to essentially see a lot of the venting again from the Stromback. A lot of the other ground systems will also vent just to purge them out of all of these fluids and other sorts of hazardous materials that they shouldn't be there at the time of launch. And hopefully in 3 minutes and 38 seconds, we're going to have that liftoff, and another Starlink satellite launch will happen.
Absolutely hoping for that as well. We are just in the final moments of the countdown here. Falcon 9 is basically almost ready. And then, of course, we are waiting for final confirmation from the launch director and everything. Let's hope everything goes as smoothly as it has gone so far, where we're basically seen a very flawless countdown so far. They targeted the opening of the window, or 2 minutes into the opening of the window, I should say. And so far, everything's on track. And there we can see some more views of Falcon 9 here at Slick 40 as it's getting ready for liftoff today. Let's see here. I want to thank GBS Travel. Everybody say hi, Max. Looked like the locals were going hog wild, right? Yeah, there were some. I will ask about this later when Max is back again. I know there were some funny interactions at the press side today. Christopher Jones here with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Chris. With a store message saying, sadly I missed the first Starship patch, but have just ordered 2 and 3. Chris B, Nottinghamshire, UK. First off, another Chris B from the UK here. And second, the first patch is still in store. The first patch is still there. We have about 20% left of our initial first patch contingent, so if you want to get that, it's still in the store. But thank you for the support, and I hope you enjoy your patches. With that, let's focus on the last 2 minutes of this countdown as we are getting ready to watch another Falcon 9 launch here from Slick 40. The next step here is that Falcon 9 will enter startup in 45 seconds from now. Alex, what's startup? Like, what exactly can we... Is it like somebody pushing a Windows power button, like on a PC?
No, this is actually totally automated. Since T-35, everything is controlled by computers. It's just, that control goes from the ground computers to the onboard computers on Falcon 9, and they basically hand that off as you will, and the Falcon 9 itself just runs on its own from that point onwards. They still have manual capability to abort until T-10 seconds, but hopefully we'll not need that as well today. So just a few more minutes, just 1 minute to that launch.
As we are getting 1 minute before launch, I see Chris B is finding more Chris B's in chat. It's an interesting conversation that is going on there right now. But we are in the startup sequence of Falcon 9. We are waiting go for launch from the launch director, which should come any second now. And I know Alex is listening into the ComsNet for that. But as soon as we get it, we should get any second now.
And there, go for launch.
There we go. Just 30 seconds from now, Falcon 9 will take flight with the Starlink 6-43 mission. The signs you will be able to see from imminent launch is the start of the water suppression system at the bottom of the rocket, which will start very shortly. And then you will maybe able to see the green flash of the T-tab that is used to ignite the 9 Merlin 1D engines. And we are just waiting for that. You should be able to see the water deluge is hard to spot today. And with that, we have ignition. There we go, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Starlink 6-43 missions carrying more internet satellites. Let's watch and especially listen in for the sound. Always nice to see and especially hear a Falcon 9 take flight. And see, I saved myself there because I didn't watch for the sound again. I almost did it, but I did a quick recovery there. We are observing Falcon 9 as it is past max Q at this point, which is the moment of peak mechanical stress on the rocket. And the first stage will burn until 2 minutes and 25 seconds. That's where the first stage main engines will cut off in an event called MECO. And then the first and second stages will separate. And the booster will return back to the drone ship as the second stage will carry on the rest of the mission. So far, really looking great, Alex. Yep. Really looking great so far, Alex, right?
Yeah, so far so good. Everything is looking very normally. You can see there the exhaust expanding as Falcon 9 goes into thinner air, and we should be approaching MECO in just a few seconds from now. There's MECO.
And we have stage sep. Yep, and there's the ignition of the MBAC.
Now the replay.
Yep, the replay. You can see here the MVAC. That's basically you looking up the nozzle of the MVAC here. And there's the ignition of the MVAC. They have shortened this coast period, right, Alex?
Yeah, to try to get a little bit more performance, the other thing that you can do as well is just shorten the time that it takes between stage separation and the ignition of the upper stage. So that is essentially what they eventually did with the Starship, is do the ignition first. And you can see there the fairings have separated. You can see them as individual points.
That's cool to see. There are the Starlinks, by the way, on the right side. That's how Starlinks look. And of course, the booster B1077 will now try to complete its 11th landing. This time landing on just read the instructions, which is getting closer to the overall landing zone. Of course, I Still Love You, right, Alex?
Yeah, it's catching up a bit. You know, of course, I Still Love You now is also being used more because now Vandenberg is ramping up a bit the cadence. But they are starting to get neck to neck, and a Shovel Gravitas is also right on the heels to that as well. They're all a little bit almost, one after the other.
Yep. And we are right now seeing the booster on the left side, the second stage on the right side. And the booster at this point will coast a bit until the mark of 6 minutes and 9 seconds. That's where the first stage entry burn will begin, where it tries to slow itself down a bit, reduce the stress on it before it hits the denser part of the atmosphere, and basically control the speed a bit, making sure it's getting there well. So yeah, we'll see. That's ice, by the way. Don't think it's anything else. It's just ice.
No,
really.
Adrian, the booster is tearing itself apart. Don't you know?
Yeah, it's totally. It's like every time we see these objects, people are like, oh, they lost like a
Chunk of
like
the
some
booster.
cables. Yeah, like no, it's ice.
No, yeah, it's just the ice.
It's also not UFOs.
Yeah, that is also true. It's also not the fairings. A lot of the time, also, oh, there's a fairing passing. If you saw the telemetry, the fairings were deployed like 20 seconds after stage separation. By then, the second stage had already picked up some speed. And if you try to imagine the distances, basically the fairings are gonna splash down like 50 kilometers farther downrange than the booster. So you can imagine them being quite a distance apart from the booster. So it's very unlikely you can see the fairings from the camera on the booster, especially because it's looking down and the fairings should be higher up. They went up there a little bit more with that second stage.
There we go, and we are just 30 seconds away here now from the entry burn, which will be how many engines, Alex?
Well, the entry burn will be first one engine, the center engine, and then two other engines 1 and 5 will ignite to be able to go through that re-entry. The usual thing that they do for these missions at least is 3 engines, but sometimes they do just 1 engine. But you'll see here how the exhaust basically is first circular and then it becomes a line. And when it's aligned, that is basically when they are firing 3 engines.
Should come up any second now. I think we already see. Yep, there we go. That's 1 engine.
And the line.
And that's 3. Yep. There you can see 3 engines now firing. And it's always the same 3, right?
Yeah, it is always the same 3. Not engine serial numbers, but engine positions. Because sometimes they may move around some of these engines from other boosters and things like that. But the location in sort of the 9 engines on that booster, it is always the same location. It simplifies operations because it's always the same plumbing, no matter what engine goes in there.
But also it means, for example, if one of these fails, they could not just ignite another and use that, right? It's only these 3s are able to ignite, right?
Yep, they are the only ones that have the T-tab for reignition.
Max, I believe we have you back on commentary. Max, how was that launch?
How do you have me?
5x5.
Excellent. Yeah, that track was phenomenal. I mean, this camera is. I'm falling in love with this camera so fast. Golly, that was beautiful as well. So there's a cloud layer just above the horizon over here to our west, which of course is blocking the sunlight. But of course, when Falcon 9 flew above that layer, it flew. The sun's rays were directly lighting it back up, and it was just brilliant white. And because we have so much zoom with this new camera, we were able to perfectly see the shot cone as it was transitioning to supersonic speeds. It was so beautiful. Great. I think it was a great track, and it was a phenomenal launch as well. Sound was great. I mean, I'm honestly, words are not my strong suit right now, just because I'm a bit speechless from everything. But it went very, very well. It was wonderful.
Don't worry, we have another event now coming up, so I will take over the words here. The landing burn has started up here for B1077, as we see the drone ship already there, and the booster is slowly but surely moving itself there all the way to the center. Oh, that looks very centered here. And we have another touchdown. That's the 11th landing for B1077, and it levels up to level 12. That's very centered.
Yeah.
That's another SpaceX flex. And with that, we should also arrive at Seco 1 here, right? And
there we go.
There it is.
Looks very nominal. The speed is more or less in line with what I've seen in previous Starlinks. So,
That's,
and nominal order insertion. Yep.
Yeah.
All
Is it just
nice
me, or
and-
does the MVEC sometimes look a bit different after it was fired?
Yeah, because
Like-
it's being red hot, so obviously it looks different a bit afterwards.
Yep, absolutely. And there we have the empty launch pad. I'm not saying the sentence after that, otherwise I get a DAS copyright claim. But so far, looking good. I believe we are working on some replays here. Just looking at the back channel here. Are we working on replays? Just making sure.
It looks like it from all the conversations, but in the meantime, I can probably mention now this launchpad, it's going to be converted for Dragon, because the next launch from this pad is CRS-30. So this is drawn back. Now the top will be moved from being a fairing type to a Dragon type. That will be the first time in a long time. The last Dragon mission from Slick 40, that was CRS-20. And yeah, we'll hopefully have to, another Dragon missions. We see also that crew access arm, you can see sort of on the right of that tower. We'll also see that being used on that mission. So that's going to be another first.
There we go. I really like that. So will we see a bit of a slower cadence here from SpaceX now that they have to get this pad ready for Dragon?
Well, from this pad in particular, they're going to be basically having an 11-day turnaround because they have to work through all of those Dragon operations. But in the meantime, we're going to have perhaps up to 2 launches from 39A. So in the meantime, 39A will be busy with another Starlink launch this Wednesday night. So right before Starship launches, we'll have another Starlink from 39A. That's why if you look at Space Coast Live, the 39A strong bag is, I believe it is still vertical. So it's essentially being prepared for that Starlink mission. A shuttle of Gravitas also left this morning, I believe, Port Canaveral. So everything is coming together already for that mission. So hopefully we'll get that in a few days. I don't know though if we're gonna be able to cover that with commentary though, because we have things going on with the Starship, right? But you'll definitely be able to watch that on Space Coast Live because we'll have all of those cameras pointed at 39A. So definitely don't miss that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if we are able to bring the full dedicated for that, because I heard there's this big rocket coming.
Yeah.
And of course there's some marathon coverage coming
This
from it as
minor
well.
launch from some place in Texas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll bother to cover that launch as well?
Yeah, I heard there's the one or the other planning going on around that. No, but really, like if you are liking Starship, I can promise you it's gonna be a good one. We have some nice videos. We have guests. We have of course commentary. It's gonna be quite a marathon, as you are used to it with us here. So hopefully you're enjoying that. And I'm quickly checking here where we are on replays as we are standing by here for, because I think there's some very cool shots and like very cool footage from this, Max. You're very happy with this, right? There's potentially some very good replays coming up here.
That went very well. I hope we're able to pull the footage off of it and show in replays, because that was great. Especially around the vapor cone and actually around Miko. I was actually able to follow it before we lost it in the clouds beyond stage sep, and I was able to follow the fairings too as they separated, because I guess the sun is low enough in the horizon where the sky is dark enough to where the well lit fairings, the second stage and the booster were all lit well enough in contrast to the sky. So we were able to follow those for a very long time, at least until they went into the clouds, and then of course we saw nothing. But I'm so happy with how that turned out. It was great.
Alex, speaking of fairings, there's another news that was just dropped about this mission, right?
Yeah. In a very interesting and unexpected move, SpaceX talked about fairings. And they mentioned that the fairings that supported this mission also supported the USSF 124 mission. If you remember, that was about 3 weeks ago, basically 25 days, as they mentioned. And so this will be the fastest turnaround time for fairing, for the fairings being reused, essentially. So they recovered them on that mission, they brought them back, they refurbished them, and then they put them back on a payload stack, and they flew today, and hopefully they'll be recovered as well in just a few more minutes. I believe the fairing takes a little bit while to be recovered because it's under parachute. It takes a little bit more to reach the ocean, but yeah, it should be recovered by Bob. So tune in into Space Coast Live because I'm mostly sure that Gav will spot those fairings coming back.
There we go. Yeah, it's certainly interesting to see. I think recently we have seen one fairing that didn't return. Right, there was like one mission where they only returned one, but they have hit a decent consistency with these fairings. But I believe we are ready for some replays here. So let's hit the replays. There we have it. Liftoff of the
Before and
mission.
after.
There we
Up
go.
we
It's
go.
looking gorgeous. I always love the tail end of the flames of Falcon 9.
Yeah.
Then we can see Max catching the rocket after it has lifted off. Love that little bit of inside here. And there's the tracking. Max, how do you track a rocket? Like, what do you focus on?
Well, the focus is fixed, so I focus it while it's on the pad, and because it's far enough away, being from here to the press site, just like 40, it's far enough away to where focus should not have to be adjusted at all. So I leave that locked manually. But for daytime launches, I of course always try to focus on the body of the rocket because that's obviously what you can see. But for night launches, it's of course the opposite, where you can only see the actual exhaust because the RP1 and Locksmeister Falcon 9 is very bright. There's the vapor cone, I think. Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Oh yes, look at the fairing.
The vapor cone.
Oh wow.
Looks so fancy. There it comes as well. Really fancy
Another
launch,
contrail.
yeah,
And
very
the thing
very
is,
picturesque.
There's still about 300 mil more zoom left on this lens. There's that much more left to go.
I really like the shot of the Miko. I was actually calling it out today, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." Like in the back of my head, I was like, "Huh, yeah."
Yeah, we were
Also
we were able to follow it for quite a long time, and that's not normally
Mm.
the case for daytime launches.
Also the contrast of these colors because it's near sunset, and so it kind of
Yep.
looks a bit I don't know, like more toasty of a color. I don't know how to really express it, but like a
Yeah, I
like
know
a
what you mean. Yeah.
yellowish toast that is so so nice.
Absolutely. There you go. It looks. I believe you can also see the shutdown sequence a bit. It's always
You
hard
can.
to see,
Yes,
but
absolutely. There is so much detail left in this, and because this is recorded in 4K, you can crop in on this so much in post and get an even better view look at it.
yeah, because the shutdown in Falcon 9 is staged, right? It's 2-2-2, and then it's
And then the
2-2-2-2, and then
And
the
boom,
center.
There we go. And look at this.
Yeah, you can see it. That
You
Yeah,
can follow the
There.
entire thing.
we saw
That
the
looks
fairings also being
amazing.
deployed and everything.
There's
That's the
stage
MVAC
two
engine?
ignition. Yep. You can see the booster just trailing behind there a little bit.
getting
Mm.
toasty. Yeah,
And then just in a few moments, you'll see the fairings pop off on the top and bottom.
yeah. You can see them because once they get into the engine, they have some some interaction with the plume.
You can even see the cold gas thrusters firing on the top of Falcon.
That's
Yeah,
so
you can see them
cool.
now.
Where are the fairings? Come on, show us the fairings.
Should be any
And there go
moment
the
now.
fairings.
Any moment.
there.
Yeah.
There they are.
Yeah, they are.
So 4 objects, the whole rocket there separated.
They were all flowing together for pretty much all the way until we lost it in the clouds.
Looks
You
so
know,
great.
I'm waiting for you
There,
to
look
be
at
able
that
to-
moment.
I'm waiting for you to be able to use this camera to spot the entry burn. I know that today we had a bit
Oh,
of
yeah, you're
cloud,
right. Yeah,
entry
you're
burn-
right. That's actually a really good point. I haven't even thought about that till now, and I would have tried, but of course there's these flipping clouds getting in our way. Although they are kind of pretty tonight. So, sun's just going down. Some colors, some sunset colors just now showing in the sky here around the Kennedy Space Center. Just another beautiful evening on the Space Coast.
Alex, is the
Meanwhile,
strong back
Strong
going
back.
back up?
Yeah, gotta keep the juice going, I guess.
Damn, they're fast.
Meanwhile, there's the replay of the launch from FleetCon, and you can see that quite a view because we have there on the left. You can see another booster from the previous mission, also a bird landing on that roof.
Of course.
But that's Falcon 9 for you. One launches, one has recently been recovered, and it's still that's how they get this cadence.
Ooh, there's the sound. Love that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful launch. And with this, I want to thank some more people here. I want to thank Anonymous with a store message saying Zoom. That's it. That's the message. The message is Zoom, and they got the OFT3 shirt. James Kopfer with a super chat saying, as usual, you guys provide awesome coverage. Thank you so much. It's only because of all of you that we are doing this. Apocalypse Cow, I think the other name is Danger Moo, with 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. David with a story message saying here, keep up the great work, NSF team. Thank you so much, David, and I hope you enjoy your Flight 1 patch. James Kopfer, $1.90 in super chat. Do you think we will get a launch this week? Well, we just had one. We'll get another one today. We will get Starship potentially, and we will get another Falcon 9 potentially, right?
Yes. Hopefully we'll see up to 4 SpaceX launches this week.
There we go. Noah also getting a store message in here saying, go Falcon 9. I ordered these patches because I'm going to see IFT 3. I'm looking forward to you receiving these patches and also to you seeing IFT 3 as we all want to now. Michael with a store message saying, who wants to ride on Starship? Not me. I'm waiting a bit until it's a bit safer. That's my plan of operations here. Right now I feel like it's a bit early. Let's see here. Chris with a store message. Just noticed you had some IFT patches left. One has been ordered. Enjoy that. We have some IFT patches, IFT 1 patches left. So there you go. Aeroplane Specialist becoming a new member, a PatRat member. I hope you enjoyed that. And with that, I would say we are done for today. I want to thank Alex for being with us today.
Well, it's been a pleasure as always, and hope to see you on the next one.
Absolutely, and it's always very nice to have your wonderful Falcon 9 insight on these, because I know I can ask you questions I have no clue about and just pretend they were asked by community and then be like, oh, that's really interesting, Alex, while I make notes. That's really, really helpful for me. Thank you so much for that. And also thanks to Max Evans, who did this amazing track for today and in general, the amazing coverage and also some comedy. Thank you so much, Max.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Pleasure is always having everyone. And we hope to see you in a few days for something very special.
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
Starlink?
Good. Another Starlink, yes.
Yeah, that one. Yes.
No,
The actual big launch this week, right?
Safe travel, Max. That's what I say.
Yes.
And also I want to thank Carson, who did operate today's stream and provided all of these make sure that all of the views we get look amazing and also make sure that we sound amazing. Thank you, Carson, for being with us today. And with that, I would say we are done with the stream for today. But again, stay tuned for lots more coverage this week. I'm Adrian Bile, by the way. I was your host for today. Sorry, I forgot myself. But yeah, we'll outro you, but we are not done. We have Countdown to Launch this week. We have Starbase Live, of course, where you can watch all the progress leading up to launch. And we have our marathon coverage coming up closer to launch. Stay tuned for the link that will go up later today. And once that's up, you can make sure you don't miss that. Thanks for watching and see you on the next stream. Goodbye.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight comes IFT off. Bring in off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?